WWE seems to have a reoccurring trouble with one of its premium live events, Survivor Series. Traditionally, the November Classic Survivor Series has always been one of the big four premium live events for WWE. But that status was questioned and really waned in the 2010s. I can hear you, Gen Z kids. I can hear you. It's just tag matches, brah. Yeah, Survivor Series has had some of the biggest and best moments in WWE history in the decades it's been presented. Whether it was the infamous and sad Montreal Screwjob in 1997, The Rock winning his first WWE Championship, or Shawn Michaels going the distance in the first ever Elimination Chamber match to become World Heavyweight Champion. It eventually turned into an event where the superstars of Raw and SmackDown would do battle, interacting in a rare occurrence in big brand versus brand elimination tag team matches. It was a once-in-a-year treat for fans. Raw and SmackDown stars interacting was an isolated, specific circumstance that didn't happen all the time, so to see them go head-to-head was a novel concept, at least for a while. But then, Survivor Series as an event started to have some real issues, and some of those issues are creeping back up, but they're different this time around. This is Sportskeeda Wrestling. I am Kevin. Let us know what you think of this year's Survivor Series and Survivor Series as an event as a whole in the comments below. Oh, and there's issues with this year's Survivor Series build, and we'll explain those in a little bit, but you need some context here. The brand warfare within Survivor Series and those traditional 4-on-4, 5-on-5 tag team matches really just got extended. Yeah, Raw versus SmackDown, but it kind of went on for too long. Yeah, too long in the eyes of some fans. Even when WWE brought the brand split back in 2016, they reintroduced the concept of brand warfare between the red and the blue sides, and it never really felt compelling after the prior point to seeing Raw versus SmackDown team versus team was just a done thing. There wasn't really a stake to be won. What, you're gonna win bragging rights? And they already did a pay-per-view called Bragging Rights. If you're going to see much of the talent in a premium event in an all-star game, there needs to be something for them to fight for. And it kind of felt like with the talent shuffling so much between Raw and SmackDown in the mid-2010s, the point of the match was pretty pointless. It's hard to believe that they managed to squeeze another 5 years from it, but by the time it happened, fans were kind of sick of it. Survivor Series 2016 was an exception amongst those years because of an incredible men's elimination match that won 4.5 stars from the Wrestling Observer and the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar shocking main event finish. But it started tanking from there out. Yeah, even Becky Lynch went as far to reportedly say that the concept of brand wars had run its course. She was right, and those in WWE management seemed to agree with her, but it took a while before that would change, and there were a lot of other things that had to happen before that change would happen. Now, when Triple H took over creative power of WWE around 2022, one of the earliest moves he made to shake up WWE's calendar was Survivor Series by reintroducing the concept of WarGames. The ante was upped with a team concept that retained the idea of two teams battling, but in a fresh metallic twist. Yes, it wasn't exactly a new idea, but certainly something that revitalized one of the biggest premium live events of the year in a time of year when WWE feels like they're in a holding pattern until we get into WrestleMania season. For well over a decade to that point, it felt like Money in the Bank, the big ladder match, had surpassed Survivor Series in terms of importance. Maybe it had taken up that last spot in the big four tentpole events that WWE presents every year. That's a different conversation. WarGames, though, was a concept that worked brilliantly in making Survivor Series feel more important in 2022 and 2023, and it's reflected in ticket sales, social media engagement, and general fan reception, proving that what is old is new again, and this was a hit. Survivor Series originally started in the 1980s, but so did WarGames. The Match Beyond, as it was marketed in the 1980s, was introduced by WWE rival promotion NWA under the current direction of American Dream Dusty Rhodes. It was his idea. Now, WWE's WarGames were first utilized under Triple H's produced NXT and were well received on takeover events that streamed on the WWE network. But bringing WarGames to the main roster was a complete elevation of the concept. The game's WarGames was reaching a violent renaissance in 2023 when the Survivor Series WarGames saw a story of the Judgment Day, the evil upstart faction, drawing together a squadron of like-minded heroes to fend them off in an exciting WarGames cage match main event to close out the night as one of the most profitable WWE events that has ever occurred in the wrestling stable of a town that is Chicago at the Allstate Arena. Yeah, this show made a lot of money, and let's also add that Randy Orton and CM Punk made huge returns at Survivor Series 2023. It was easily one of the most talked about shows of 2023, and WarGames was a big part of that. So what's the problem here? The modern problem with Survivor Series in 2024 is you got to top what you did before. And somewhere we feel there are some fans that simply feel with their fickle tweezers as they pluck hairs at WWE's creative plan that the 2023 ride to WarGames is not being topped by the 2024 version. In terms of the Bloodline Civil War, it most definitely warranted a WarGames match because of the direction the storyline was going with two different sides of a conflict. It seemed like for months now, this was the predicted and anticipated collision of Roman's loyalists against the usurping Solo Sikoa and his side within the double cage. But then WWE decided they needed to add a fifth member to each team, and some are arguing that Jey Uso and Sami Zayn far too easily forgave Roman Reigns and have joined his side for a stretch here, and that's had some impact on the story. Still, where is it that we know we have to go here? How do you pay this off with those expectations that are built in for so long, now with these invisible limitations of meeting expectations that have risen before the story ever really got going? It's hard to challenge that. It's hard to top that at the same time, especially in recent memory, while also the entire Bloodline saga has so much tied to it. Yes, it marches into its fourth year as a collective storyline that has evolved up and down through those years. And it isn't so much the problem that Jey and Sami are on his team, but it's the fact that they've joined Roman Reigns, who's not really much different than the Roman Reigns we saw before. He's never formally apologized to everyone for the years of manipulation and abusing them when they served him as loyal members of his bloodline. Yeah, Roman's character is just the same narcissistic, selfish ego tripper that we can just throw the ones up with. But where is the vulnerability? Where is the character that has grown from his fall from grace at WrestleMania 40? Where's the humility? Where is a powerful yet endearing hero in Roman Reigns? It's more of the same with those same circumstantial expectations growing around him. Oh, look at you with your super strong attention span, watching more than 9 minutes of content? Uninterrupted internet content? Now throw them ones up and then use those ones to press the like button. Even with novel match concepts like WarGames, the reality is that the concept will really have relevance over a core couple of years. Not because the match itself can't be exciting or consequential either. It's the annual standardization of it within a WWE calendar. We are stuck in the overserved, fickle fandom. We demand conflicting pleasures of long-term storyline payoffs, which sometimes don't always have swerves, bro. Yeah, predictability should not be a sin, especially if we anticipate big payoffs. But just knowing every single year at Survivor Series there must be a WarGames match makes the match maybe less magical than it should be. When WWE creates an entire show themed around one match, it kind of boxes them into fitting it within a storyline, but also a calendar that says you're going to get this. The Hell in a Cell means you're going to get a Hell in a Cell match on the Hell in a Cell show, which for many years didn't really serve the idea of a Hell in a Cell match, a bitter feud, and a big match. When a match stipulation like WarGames is made, it's because of the power of a storyline that has a bigger impact with two different sides on the issue. Yeah, WWE evolved out of the Hell in a Cell thing, and it was positive for the concept of that match. Now, there are exceptions. Obviously, Elimination Chamber, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, yeah, they set up things, and they have a built-in storyline concept that's very sports-centric. You win the Rumble, you get Mania. You win an Elimination Chamber, you get Mania. Money in the Bank, you win the briefcase, you can cash in for a world title shot anywhere within the next calendar year. You get the idea, you get where those things go beyond that date. But in those cases, it's because there's a definitive prize to fight for. You see here, whether it's a world championship spot, a contender at a big event, you see where things are going. WarGames doesn't have a big prize in these types of matches. Now, this one this year is, who is the one true tribal chief? Yes, who is the real bloodline? We can see that, and there's certainly a lot of investment in that, but maybe it's not as exciting as it was the past few years. I can see what you're saying here. It could mean that WWE might have to change things up every couple of years to keep Survivor Series relevant, exciting, and fresh. But more than anything, it's about having a clear prize to fight for, one that major storylines are impacted by in the years to come. It's hard to do that when you have the Royal Rumble just 2 months later. It could be the driving force to make WWE much harder and much more of a watched product at the beginning of 2025. You also have the added circumstances of WWE in a sense of transition, with Raw moving up to Netflix and SmackDown reportedly getting an extra hour of TV time each week. WWE functionally needs to hit a home run now with Survivor Series before 2025. We're in such a big branded time of WWE where people are aware of the fact that the audience is growing, so with it, the expectations are growing, especially in today's social media landscape where attention spans are much shorter. Give it to me now, but make it pay off. Do you understand what we're getting at here? Yes, honestly, the biggest problem with Survivor Series and most WWE Premium Live events is actually us, the fans. We keep moving the goalposts in the ever-changing, never-stopping, give me what I want fantasy booking in my head or it sucks algorithm that focuses on rage baiting and clickbaiting with memes as a barometer of whether or not something may or may not meet the general fan-desired standard. And me just saying that sounds ridiculous, but that's probably true. The fact is, WWE is going to do their best job to bring the best out of Survivor Series in their very talented locker room, and maybe we can decide whether or not the show is good once we get there. That isn't to say that the things we've presented in this video are meaningless, but you get what we're getting at. We are overserved and we don't know how good we have it. It'll be interesting to see how WWE can turn Survivor Series into an extravaganza on par with all of their other premium live events. What do you think? Are you into this year's Survivor Series and the idea of WarGames in general? You've been watching the video this long and you haven't gotten into the comments? Come on, yeah, and check out these other great videos from Sportskeeda Wrestling.